And it looks like we're live. But Dave's not even in the seat. There you go.
Oh, yeah. That's why we need a new intern. Our old intern went and got a job.
Someone needs to press the button.
We need someone to
Somebody
press the
click
button.
buttons.
Can we maybe get? Oh, maybe we can get like what are they called? Maybe we can get a service chimp. Would that be an abuse?
I think so.
So hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, 4 nerds, by nerds, hanging out with these nerds.
Nathan Nerdark.
Nerdark is 10.
And we're here doing the thing live. And Nate, you said we're already getting GM 911s. Is that the rumor?
That is correct. Zerif Gaming hopped in before we even started with one.
Before we even hit the button, you guys are already asking questions.
That's good.
That's awesome.
That's what we like.
So, yeah, we're not really certain what we're going to talk about. So, if you guys are out there listening, go ahead and hit us up with some questions.
So, Zerif Gaming said, what was his?
What do you do when your party is plotting to kill you all, Game of Thrones style?
So I'm guessing this is a player 911, and
yeah, not the GM, or you know the GM and the players are going to kill the GM.
Well, if this is an out of game thing, then,
Dial real 911 and call the police.
yeah,
GM 911 is not responsible for any dangers you may be in due to your services.
now if it's if you're a player and your fellow player or players are plotting against you, plot harder.
Well, this comes down to too, like what kind of game are you playing? You know, did you guys have a session 0? Is PvP okay in your game? You know, those are going to be things that are going to come up. Like, personally, we allow it, but we don't particularly care for it. The problem with PvP is a lot of times it doesn't stick with the characters and goes over to the players. Not that the players start versing each other, but it's like their next character is like designed to, avenge the other character. So it never ends.
And must I resort? I will absolutely point you to the backup plan, which is the backup character.
Well, that could work as well. Also, if you want a good example of a lot of PvP and plotting and shenanigans, what was the name of the game? The Yankee game run by SR2 Joker had a ton of
from the Astral.
Yeah, that was probably it. But if you go to the SR2 Joker channel, he ran it for quite a few sessions. It was amusing. There was a lot of fun stuff.
Like
but
9 to 12 sessions that I was aware of.
And it was definitely a lot of backstabbing, infighting. But at least with that game, like you kind of went in knowing. And then everyone wanted to take down Lloyd, but he was unkillable.
Well, because the deal was if you killed somebody, you got their stuff, and then you had the ability to like trade up magic items. So by the time that he came in, or by the time that people were like, all right, I'm gunning for this guy, he had so many amazing magic items. It's ridiculous.
He was like a mega corporation at that point.
Pretty much.
But it was definitely a good game. I enjoyed the couple sessions that I actually got to play, but my whole standpoint on PvP is I really don't like it. I don't find any enjoyment, or it doesn't really bring anything to the table. So while I made a competent character, I did not make one that I was like, all right, well, I'm set off to kill other people. I was in it for the missions.
The best part of the game for me was knocking Ted off a wall. He's like, you attacked me? Why'd you attack me? Because I'm like, I'm sure you're going to side with Lloyd. My character totally died.
I actually don't even remember that. I vaguely remember falling off a wall, but I don't remember like yelling at you over it.
It was an archer battle master. And, I decided to support the other character, the other player, Juice, because I thought it would be more fun. Thought he had a chance too, but he didn't. The paladin was just too strong, and also the way we were doing, the way he was doing Great Weapon Master, the fighting style was ridiculous too, because it was all dice pulls, 1s and 2s were being rerolled.
Right.
So
when he smited or smote, or when he used the smite class feature, he was any 1s and 2s on those D8s he was rerolling.
Yeah, that's a lot of dice that end up getting re-rolled. Also, Chris Neves brought up a good point. It's a great way to break up a group, or it can break up a group, is what he actually said. But yeah, and that is the other problem. That's why I don't particularly care for it. So yeah, the two things that'll break up your group the fastest is infighting and in-dating. Either one of them will destroy the group.
All right, you hear that, Nate? Dave's not going to go out with you.
Well, I mean, we kind of established that earlier, so it's
Yeah.
okay.
Our
Boundaries.
Our wives aren't cool with it. We did that in our social contract.
So Clive Craven, I designed a game based on mythology from around the world, and currently it's formatted to never really meet an end. What are your thoughts on this? Should I keep as is, or should there be an end game? So specifically, I think that if you're going to do, I mean, I guess mythology, you're dealing with the gods eventually. You're dealing with kind of like your super big threats. There's a certain point where you either have to have the characters be like, oh, we're ascending to godhood, and that could be the wrap up of the story, or you're going to defeat something that there's nothing beyond that but to challenge the deities. So I would think that would be a good like cap for what you could expect to be like the end game of the situation.
So I find that from my earlier days of gaming, and I think Dave can support me on this, is we ran games without an idea of what the end goal was, and without having that, you just kind of ran week to week of what's the next story, and you might have a story arc that goes 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sessions, and then you move on to the next story arc. Well, if you don't have what's the final for this thing, at least in an infantile stage of development, you wind up getting to a burnout before the campaign ends, and then these characters just kind of hang out and float in nothing, and you just, okay, well, they're there, let's move on to another story because I don't want to run anymore. And nowadays we're planning, I believe Dave's game, we've talked about what our end goal is of going to fight the Empyrean and banish him from our world. And in my game, they've talked about actually going into the hells and bringing battle to Narcissus himself. And it's like, okay, these are definitely end goal, situations. So
yeah, sometimes you definitely just gotta kick a demon lord in the nuts. That's how you wrap it up.
And be like, well, my bucket list is done. It's time for retirement.
I'm going home. Wait a minute, I'm still fighting you. No, I'm done.
Yeah, all I wanted to do was kick you. That's it.
That was
I'm good.
Yeah. This is going to be a bar story I can tell forever.
So yeah, there's definitely a lot of that. When we in my early gaming days, we always used all the mythologies anyway. So it was just like, plus you had the book of deities and demigods, so it only made sense that you used them all. But the problem with that book was, and it goes back to the parable of Spoonie, and that is if you stat it, they will kill it. So fortunately 5e, the gods have not been statted yet. So, and I don't think those deities will transfer over very well either.
Well, there is a book called Gods and Goddesses.
Well, that's true, but I don't know that the stats for the gods and goddesses are actually in that book. We cannot tell because they were wrapped in cellophane.
No,
So-
I opened one.
Oh, God damn it, Ted! You're like a child. Are the gods statted?
I actually, I only flipped through, did not actually look and see if there were stat blocks.
So you couldn't contain yourself, but you didn't do anything useful either.
Right.
Thanks for opening it because I went to look and not get yelled at by Dave.
Don't worry, I'll find something to yell at you for later.
Yeah, he like.
I'll just start making stuff up. I'm just a yeller. I don't yell at my kids. I gotta yell at you guys. Someone asked the question of what is the best D&D build, or what is the best min-max build, and that's by Jordan and Henry. Best is very subjective. It depends what exactly you're trying to do. If
Are you going after, one of those archetypal character, what's the word? Like your controller, your DPS, your tank. Roll, there you go. You're looking for one of those roles. We've actually done a handful of different videos on those.
different fighting styles, things like that. Different. We've done so many different character builds. Like, do you want to know the most? You want to be able to use the most amount of skills? Do you want to speak the most languages? Do you want your character to be the best cook in the land? Like, best could be anything, you know. Like, or are you just purely talking the most powerful kill things? Best build, which there's a ton of different ways to get there as well.
Right. Oh, they definitely stat them.
What are the stats?
They're super strong.
I guess challenge 30.
Well, let's go with Chernobog.
Ooh.
Hit points 727 on average. Armor class 25, so you can actually hit them. But you know, saving throws plus 15 Dex, plus 15 Con. Damage immunities. Lots of stuff.
Do you know who that dude is?
Huh?
You know who Chernobog is?
The Disney villain.
It's the Disney villain.
Oh, yeah, check him out. Boom. He's the demon on a hill, on the mountain that turns into a demon.
Yeah.
Fantasia, right?
Yeah.
That's what he reminds me of.
I wonder if they're going to get murdered by Disney for that. It might even be a historical thing.
Well, there's a T in front. Does that count? Is it the name's different?
Oh, it's got a T in front
Wow,
of it.
with the Black Knight and everything. I don't know. Well, I don't know. You know, Disney doesn't make all their stuff up, so it could just.
But it still doesn't. You don't F
myths
with them.
and legends.
You do not F with the mouse, because whatever challenge rating this dude is here right here, the mouse is double that.
Well, challenge rating 30,
Yeah, Mickey's easy 60.
easy 60.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he just doubles whatever he's facing.
There are no slaps, that's for sure. So,
Especially if he can invoke corporate law and lawyers.
all those Warlock Pact lawyers.
Chris Neves, kind of a DM on one. How do you train a new DM? Like, I like to put out a lot of newspaper first in the area where they're going to stay.
You set them down, and then you can put them in front of YouTube, and there's like thousands of videos to watch.
You got to get the high fence and electrify it so they don't climb out.
That's kind of archaic, really. Like, that you should just do the shock collar.
Oh, with the Wi-Fi?
All right, so
No, preferably with a button control.
Bad times on rainy days when the power goes out. Lose Wi-Fi connection.
all right. So honestly, if you're looking to train a player at your table to begin taking over GM, besides the number of videos that are on our channel as well as others that give advice to GMs, like sitting there playing the game is one of the best ways to figure it out. And I know I've tried to, whenever possible, if there's somebody who's looking to give it a shot, I will give them a hand and either be a player in the game and offer feedback, constructive criticisms. Don't just sit there and be like, dude, your game sucked, and walk away. No, you gotta share what's actually out there. You gotta give them the knowledge that you have. And if they drop the ball, or when they drop the ball, depending, say, okay, well, this is how I would improve. This is what I would do. Have somebody at the table be able to offer up rules calls if they don't know the rules well enough. You have the ability to co-GM with them. Okay, well, if you have them at the table, you're there, just kind of in the background assisting. And whenever something happens and the GM feels like, I don't have an answer to this question, okay, co-GM, what do I do here? How do I handle this? Whether it's a question that the players get to hear, or whether it's just a private conversation off to the side, situation is handled and you move forward. You got anything beyond that?
It's just one of those things. You got to do it. You're going to suck in the beginning, and you'll get better. You all brought up all great points. Having the co-GM or even just a player that knows the rules better than you, that you can trust to not be a douche, to kind of handle the rules questions for you.
Right.
All that stuff is great ideas. I think Nate is researching a question right now, probably from Kelsey Nicole.
Hezru, or however you say it, the demon things.
Hezru.
Yeah, we've got a question about there's going to be facing a Hezru soon, and they want to know how to deal with it.
That's metagaming.
Well, if you search, the tomes and things on demons, then you'll find that they smell really bad, which is bad for your constitution, and they really don't care about magic much at all. And they got tons of hit points, so we pretty much this is a slog fest.
Meat shield.
With lots of people.
Hire some meat shield.
Yeah, so anything that's got magic resistance, you're going to have to deal with it. It's got it's got magic resistance as well as damage resistance for a lot of the elemental damages. So pretty much hit it with a fireball. It's just going to be like, yeah,
Use a paladin.
I take a quarter.
Hit it with a paladin.
Yeah, so hit it with a paladin, and a paladin that you can just keep getting to be alive and being in front there. So heavily armored fighting machine that gets boosted by other people.
Or 7 of them.
Or 7 paladins. Just all take out their swords. Smite a thought.
Also, too, it's kind of like, are you saying we're going to be fighting you soon as in we're going to be fighting soon in the next session? Or are you saying in the game we know we're going up against this thing? You know, in that case, maybe you can do research and go, consort with sages and the like in order to be better prepared, and you can do it in game, and then your DM will give you the information that he feels that you could have access to.
Or magic circle one up that doesn't like the one that you're going to fight, and maybe he'll tell you some stuff.
That's one way of doing it.
Dangerous. That's a dangerous way of doing it.
But I feel like at that point, if you're able to do that it's probably not much, that going to be that much of a challenge for you.
That's true.
So Kevin Burke, any good ideas for UnderDark factions? I'm running a mass combat UnderDark game with the PCs building an army to fight the Drow. Well, you're gonna have tons of factions. One, you're gonna have tons of factions within the Drow if you're kind of going off of like the Men's Baranzan, R.A. Salvatore lore. Like, there's always tons of factions there. You're gonna have Dugars, you're gonna have Dwarfs, Narfnevlins, Kotoa, Orcs, Goblins, Myconids, Mind Flayers, Beholders. Like, there's any, like, the list is almost inexhaustible, and you can just constantly keep adding things.
So have you consulted the thing called the Monster Manual?
Yeah. It's like, what are you looking to do? What are you looking to get out of these?
I have a, besides the joke, I actually have a constructive thing there. If you're looking to fight Drow, are you looking to fight an entire Drow city? Have you tried actually going into like several sessions of, espionage and subterfuge and trying to find like a rival house, trying to make a deal with them to see if like, oh, well, what if you partner up with them, that they'll turn on the faction that you're up against, weakening the Drow and, in the fight, making it that much easier to accomplish your goals.
Ted, you brought up an excellent point. When you're fighting Drow in UnderDark and mass combat, just use more Drow. They don't like each other.
Somebody dislikes a Drow like another Drow.
Yeah, because it's personal. They're all kind of packed in dark places together. Hate each other. Want to get up one up on.
And if you're gonna be fighting Drow, just remember the spell Daylight will serve you well.
Yeah, and Fairy Fire is bad news for you. On a mass scale, it like can really mess with you guys.
Oh, wait a second. Those 37 guys that are going to shoot at me just have advantage? Oh, God.
Piece of cake. Yeah. Oh, and all their crossbow bolts are tipped with poison.
Yeah. Did we mention Durgar and
yeah, we like rambled off the list of all of them. Pretty much. Yeah, so really it's like, well, what do you want the factions to do? That's how you kind of determine what can you use as factions. I mean, we didn't mention Aboleth. You can mention Aboleth.
Yeah, the Aboleth might be one.
Oh, that's a good point,
eh? Also, you could find a group of high elves that really have a problem with a Drow going way back. I'm sure there's some of them around. Yeah, maybe they'll want to join your party to head down there.
Service dwarves as well. If they're going to be, Duergar involved, they of course want to annihilate their darker kin.
So maybe that's a deal you hash out with them. Be like, hey, we'll take care of Duergar after this.
Honestly, like, is this a player 911 that he's looking to how he can get involved, or is this a GM of how to handle?
It says DM.
Okay, so as a GM, like, you're in control of the story here, so it's really what kind of machinations that you want to run, what kind of stories that you want to run. I would honestly, if I'm putting my players against Drow, like, I would have to try and test my DM skills, and I would want to go espionage. I'd want to put them to try and convince the Drow to do some infighting. That's where I go.
Contempt, DM 911. What are some examples of some of your favorite puzzles? I'm not hugely good at making them and can use some ideas. Guess what? I suck at making them as well, and I would just steal them from the internet.
Yeah, Ted has a
that's generally what I do. They see everyone looking around because they're looking for the books that we just steal them from.
The books are down there if you want like the riddles and puzzles. I've got 6 different books that I've gotten Ironically, my grandfather was, pulling out a newspaper or a magazine, asking a bunch of, really cool riddles. Um, and those are a lot of fun. But there's also physical puzzles and things that you can do that you could literally be like, okay, depending upon what kind of players you have at the game, you could put the puzzle pieces that are necessary to solve whatever the thing is in different areas of the dungeon, and they have to put the thing back together and put it wherever it goes, on a pedestal or in the wall or what have you. So as you go about, you clear the room and you find this weird looking thing, and you physically hand it to the player, and throughout the night, you just keep dropping them off and let the players fiddle with it and see what they can figure it out. And then, in the end, they get to this room, and there's this little thing on the wall that looks like the shape that these pieces could make if they do the right thing. I was at a flea market sidewalk sale type thing today, and we stopped at this booth that had there's a hexagon pattern and a square pattern, and I think 5 or 6 different wooden pieces. And you have to put all the pieces into the puzzle and make them all fit nice and flat. And all the pieces fit in both shapes just fine. And trying to figure that kind of thing out, I was like, well, that's interesting. Now, if you just found these things, well, then they might not realize that there's something important until they get to the end. And once you start giving them out as, okay, well, maybe they're not just boring, maybe they're actually jewel encrusted or what have you, and the players might think, oh, these are something special or they're valuable, this is great.
Or some magic crystal cracked and you got to put it back together to
so
open a door
or something. You could go in many different directions, and part of the fun, if they're jewel encrusted, would be like, this is awesome. The players think that they've got some significant wealth here, but it's really like you have to assemble it in order to get out or to complete the dungeon and get the other reward that they're there to actually get. So it can be interesting.
I just got steal stuff. Video games, books. There's all kinds of places where you can get the good riddles from. It's never been a strong suit of mine. And writer's block is at it again.
What is it? What is he? What is he attempting to challenge us with this time?
GM91. Who would win an arm wrestle? In an arm wrestle.
Dave.
Well, so there's Hurd. Although Thor, he's got that belt and the gauntlets.
I think he's talking about us.
Oh.
And since Dave is the personal trainer and the only one that's actively working out, I'm going to say it's Dave.
Yeah, I work out.
Yeah. Okay.
Dave has a construction lineage for the past couple of years under his belt, so
just a decade.
yeah,
But I haven't done it in a while now.
a few more months on the computer, and we will see.
Well, I'm never going to be in that. I'm never going to win that war.
Yeah, and I'm back to lifting, so we'll see.
Excellent.
The boy has forced my hand.
Well, he wants you to train him, so.
Yeah, he mainly just complains. They all just complain at me.
That's why I haven't ever asked you to train me.
Well, I appreciate that. So, Justin Clowers. GM91, party members break up over a jerk player. Happens.
Sorry.
3-player game first, and second player in the first session. They follow their own paths and end up meeting with the first unconscious and then execute. I don't really know what the question is there.
Is he asking a question, or is he actually just telling a story about how one player is like, oh, this guy's unconscious, I'm gonna slit his throat.
Starts off GM91.
Yeah. So, but down here by second player, I reverse this by character alignment. But the first player was mistrusting, and after the third player joined, okay, so you got 3 players, joined, became caught in a trap. So I'm not sure. Okay, it keeps going.
Okay.
It's easier if you put it all together for us.
But it looks like it's too long to say in one post.
Which he refuses to help anyway because he refuses to help the second player. The other players rage quit afterwards. What do I do?
All right. Well, first, I would suggest the next time you're going to describe this, just give them names: Bob, Steve, and Joe, or something, because that's a lot easier to distinguish between first, second, and third player. I'm being serious. I'm also kind of silly, but I'm being serious.
So you've got a player who has no problems killing other people, and another player who rage quit because one player refused to help.
I think what happened was another player actually got entered into the game later, and he was discovered in a trap. But the other player or players are mistrusting, so they refuse to let him out of the trap. So yeah, you just have douchey players, dude, because they don't want to play the game. Clearly.
So like, all of this really comes down to communication, and if you understand that your players are I don't want to say anything, but if they're not going to be helpful, then you can't put a new player in a situation where they need help. You have to put in a situation where the new player is coming to be helpful to them, not requiring their aid.
Yeah, because then it can be a combined effort between the three people rather than the one person getting saved as their intro. It's not a very strong intro, but I've used it before, so I like, oh, the guy's captured and you defeat the guy, so the third party person is free. And what if the trap's a mimic?
So like, all right, the players are, knowing these players, it's like, all right, well, they're given quest A, and players 1 and 2, Bob and Steve, are already off to go do quest A. Well, now we're introducing, Jack, player 3. Well, he's also has the same quest. Well, if he has information that he can't do it alone, and these two can't do it alone because there's something that requires you to push 3 buttons simultaneously, well, then this is going to be a challenge for the 3 of them unless they work together. Additionally, player 1 and 2 are going to get a reward from one NPC, but the new player also has somebody that will able to give a reward. Incentives for everyone, rewards for everyone. Great way to combine a group of players that are greedy and mistrusting.
Well, then they all have good motivation for continuing on as a party.
Yes.
So Writer's Block has a good one, and it's actually a serious one.
So I was going to say, you said Writer's Block. I'm going to say Dave. That's just.
No. GM91. Any dramatic way you guys have to get rid of a player in a game if they are leaving the game in real life, other than killing them?
Oh, seriously, you said a dramatic way to get rid of a player. Have you tried putting an arm lock around them and pulling them out of the room? That's pretty dramatic.
Or traumatic.
Yeah.
But you're talking about character, how they want to get rid of a character.
In game without killing them. I mean, well, if you have like one last huzzah, like a really good last battle, and then that person, for one reason or another, like that kind of closes a loop on a character story plot for that character, that would be really good.
Heroic stand, but it took an arrow to the knee?
Yeah. Then it won't be restored. It's really weird.
Well, so here's what I did when the player left my game with their character. I asked them, I'm like, how do you want them to leave? Do you want them to retire a hero? Do you want them to become a villain? Do you want them to have a last stand? And like try and accommodate them, especially if it's going to look cool and be fun in the game.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to do 2 of those things. I'm just not saying which 2. My players can figure that out later. Also, another game, we had a player that was leaving. So at the end of his last session, he got hauled away in manacles by the Dark Lanterns in Sharn. So there's always cool things you can do. But one of the things I do think you should do though is talk to the player and find out like what kind of ending they would like. So you can't accommodate it.
I mean, if you've got the ability to literally spoon feed a player that, especially if they've been playing with you for a while, like, okay, here you go, and I'll give you exactly what you want, and like part of me metagame, like I knew what was going on, but when we actually did have a character who we knew as all is at the table that he was leaving the group, this was his last session. we had players who were like, "What? Well, we can't do this. We can't. We have to stick with what our character would say and do." And like, I'm fighting the instinct of, okay, yeah, right. We need to keep everyone together because that's what my character would say. But at the same time, I'm like, well, I don't want to, as Ted, rob this player of the ending that I know he wants. So it was interesting. So that be prepared for that as well. Be prepared that your players might try and muck things up.
So we are at the halfway mark, so we should do two things.
All right, so halfway mark, that's roll call. So guys, sound off, and while you guys are letting us know where you're streaming in from, we will talk about, it's now September. It's time for another giveaway. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, we can go there.
Okay. All right. Well, so apparently there's a different thing that Dave wanted to talk about. So our monthly giveaway this time, thanks to the awesome people at Jetpack 7, we have the limited edition Kickstarter exclusive Gods and Goddesses that, Nate was until recently referencing, sealed
side,
almost not damaged if Ted stops touching it. And it has sparkly cool things on the shield and sword here.
Yes.
And that's how you can tell.
This is the Kickstarter exclusive.
So that will be given away when?
We will pick a winner from our standard format the first Saturday in October.
Right.
So,
and by pick a winner, I mean we're going to press a button and a machine thing is going to go.
So you can get an entry into this by supporting us on Patreon or by filling out the form and mailing that to us to our PO box. The form is on the website. The address is on the website.
And, standard thing. This isn't part of YouTube. YouTube has nothing to do with this.
Or Patreon.
And Patreon. It's not really part of anything else. It's just us wanting to give something to our fans.
Yes.
True that. Also, very top link in the description below, you can find the Nerdarchy 40K giveaway contest. Thank you for being a subscriber. Bing, mabob. So if you click that, there's like a bunch of different ways to enter the contest. And the 29th, I think, is when we said we're going to actually do the drawing or end the contest. The 29th, we'll end the contest, but on the 30th, which is a Saturday, during that live chat for the weekly Q&A, quests and adventures, we're going to actually select the winner. So I guess what we'll probably do is we'll probably select 3 winners just in case whoever wins get back to us.
Right. So,
and we'll give you guys, we'll give the winner a week to respond. If they don't get back to us, we'll move to the next person and so on and so forth. But what do you get to win? There are three prizes to choose from.
All right. So we thought, a lot of you guys really enjoy gaming with us. So we thought, how awesome would it be if you could pick your favorite, member of the Nerdarchy crew to run a game for you and, your close friends online.
Yeah, via Google Hangouts, or that's one option. The other option is have Nerdarchy play the game with you, and one of us, you get to choose who will run the game. And the last option is you can share Nerdarchy with other Nerdarchy fans, and that is, pick one of us to run the game, and then we will randomly select from the patrons other players for the game. So you will have the option. So that we'll announce that on the 30th. That gives us a couple of weeks for you guys to check it out, and gives us a couple of weeks to talk about it.
So go check out that link after this is over, and sign up and do all the things.
The clicking of the things. So we got Zareth Gaming and Rodizio. We got Dublin, Ireland in the house with Writer's Block. Jonathan Pitcher is in Gilbert, Arizona. Lincoln is in Sweden. Cobb is in House Springs, Missouri. Atamana is in New Brunswick, Canada. Hellfire Club, Comic Book University.
Hey, we haven't had him in a while.
He's always around.
Not on Saturdays. He hasn't been here for several weeks.
I don't know. I doubt
he's coming to see us from the Hellfire Club.
Yeah.
A nice establishment.
Rhode Island with Alexandra. We got Ranger Roy in Missouri. Oregon with Mr. Rob's Cleaning Service. Ecuador in the house with Pino Arias. We've got Montana with Chris Neves. Hey, we got Jose Suarez, Tampa, Florida. We've got Psycho Scream, South Carolina. St. Petersburg, Florida. Justin Clowers, about to get hit by Irma. Good luck, man. I wish you well.
Stay strong.
Wilder Smith, New York. Pray to Odin. Or maybe Poseidon might be better.
Pray to Poseidon, pray to Thor.
Just pray to them all. Contempt is in Michigan. Comic University, telling them to be safe down there. Absolutely. Why, just why? London. And this is what always happens when we talk about stuff, and then as soon as we go back to it, we've got Indiana in the house with Hatred of Sins. We've got
Hatred
Toronto.
of Sins.
Oh yeah, Hatred of Sins.
Give him a break. He's read a lot of names here.
Yeah, and when it's all like mashed together.
I know it's words, Dave.
Words.
John McGuire from Toronto.
Don't make me kill
John
you right on
Smith
the
from
street.
Ottawa, Canada. Tom Harris, Seymour, Indiana. Austin Harley from Colorado Springs. Andrew Long from Ohio. And April Compton from Texas. And Amish Verna from Wisconsin.
Very cool.
I won't correct you. Like that. I think that's Burma, not Verna. Oh, we got Dummy URD in Germany in the house.
Dave spends so much time correcting me. I gotta correct you when I can. And that was what I knew.
Take it to him.
Take it to him.
All right, so we've made the roll call.
So I've actually, today I actually ran into another, new Nerdarchy fan who happened to be, local to the area.
Did he say new or nude?
New.
I mean, you can
I'm
hear,
like, where are you going, Ted? Where
you can hear whatever you'd like.
What places are you visiting?
So this was at a Wawa. So
A special Wawa. The one close by us that we go to when we take breaks.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rico if you're watching or you watch it sometime later. I know whenever I run into a fan, I have the whole thing that I want to grab a picture and be able to put it up on Instagram. And my tablet was not working today, so I was very, very frustrated that I could not get said
Should
picture.
just beat it against the counter.
Both your faces, and then it could have been like an old style painting.
Yeah, I don't think
terrible
that
painting.
I don't think that would be a good idea.
Oh well, we have some clarification, except I lost it, from Justin about the players,
Okay.
and I lost it. So
Well, in the meantime, Rob's cleaning service question. What do you recommend for cleaning up goblin blood? I feel like he should be telling us. He's the one with the cleaning service.
Prestidigitation. I don't want to get my hands dirty.
Yeah, there you go.
Unseen servant. If you don't have prestidigitation,
Wizard, are you?
Bam.
Prestidigitation. Come on.
Well, you're not a wizard.
yeah.
Then what do you do with unseen servant?
What you do with unseen servants?
I don't know what you want to do. What you do with unseen servant, dude?
What happens with unseen servant stays?
Unseen. So I found it. Justin Clowers, GM1. Sorry, character limit problems. Bob refused to help Mary and Shelley because Mary killed him earlier, even though they were all stuck in a trap.
That is the problem with PvP, right? Because, see, that's exactly what happens. Even though those characters have nothing to do with each other, the player still holds a grudge.
So what you need to do is you need to, even if the campaign is already moving, you need to have a session 0. You need to talk, and you say, "All right, guys, we're done. There is no more PvP."
Yeah, stop messing my game up.
Because this kind of stuff devolves into players leaving the game, or the GM's not having fun, and then there's no point in playing this game.
Oh, we've got some Comic Book University. CLR cleans goblin blood. Great, he says.
Yeah, well, apparently.
Calcium, lime, and rust. I don't think it's meant for blood.
Blood red rest, I guess. No, I think it cleans a lot of stuff. It doesn't just clean those things. It's powerful.
So, contempt question. I enjoy playing Vampire, Charisma, and previous editions, there was a CR mod to apply to the race. The CR adjusted. So basically, before you could have an ECL and play monster races, but you just add that. So what would you for this edition? There's a vampire race in one of the Magic the Gathering D&D crossovers.
Mhm.
So you can take a look at that and see if that's going to give you what you want. But if you just want like the sheer power of being a vampire, 5th edition doesn't really do that.
Yeah, fifth said, well, we've learned our lesson from what 3rd did. We don't want to deal with ECL. If it's not equivalent to a race, we're not giving it to you. So like if you become a lycanthrope, like it says, oh well, it sets your stats to this, which I think the highest one is a 17. Like, so it's not even breaking any of those kind of boundaries. And it's like, oh, if it's already higher, then don't change it.
Yeah, that's a tough sell trying to do that. But I did a class race mashup back in the day on the website like 2 years ago. It was taking monk, and I augmented monk to be like vampire. And I just did a few things that augmented it to be like clawing and biting rather than, and like blood drain rather than the regular monk attack. So it was kind of like a new archetype, but it followed the progression of a class and it followed the progression of monk.
So was it a monk archetype or a whole new class?
It was a monk archetype with rephrasing and rewording of certain things. So, for example, you don't have key points, you have blood points, and you gain those in specific ways. So, but you could do all funky monk stuff, like jump higher than normal people should be able to, run faster than normal people should be able to. So you had the kind of like the celerity feature of, that is featured a lot in vampiric stuff,
right.
As well as, being stronger and faster and more combat in general, toughness wise, be able to pick people up and toss them. So you just like reflavor the fist stuff and the stunning and all that kind of stuff, just to be more vampiric.
Cool.
And that way you don't have to worry about is it broken, because it's pretty much just a monk. It's just different shell over it.
Right.
Daniel J. DeSanto. How do you handle a party of characters that have started the campaign about one step away from full-on evil based on backstories of lots of new players?
Hunt them down with paladins until they change their ways.
Session 0, where we discuss whether or not we're going to play that kind of game or play an evil campaign.
Well, if you're doing like one step off of evil, then that means you're pushing those boundaries, and it's going to have disastrous, effects and outcome based on what they're doing. If they're pushing boundaries, eventually people are going to know about it. Eventually, law to whatever degree is in your world is going to step in. Eventually, other adventuring groups are going to be coming after them to get justice. It's how things happen.
Yeah, I mean, bandits aren't really high-level villains, but they're at a tier where a little adventuring part, there's plenty of them around different places. We'll hear about it and be like, hey, someone's offered their skull to avenge this person's family or get their goods back or whatever, and you just happen to be bandits. So
Saber Dice question. I've seen a couple of people ask, and they're kind of asking like why I'm representing Nerdarchy in this game. Well, for one, there may be other games and other Nerdarchists Nerdarks may appear in those games.
perhaps.
But most of part of it too is also availability. Nate works at night, so that kind of excludes him automatically, and it happens on Wednesday nights, which is Cub Scouts for Ted anyway. So
Yes.
Actually, I got stuck holding the short straw.
Yeah, my son is a Weeblo Scout. I'm his den leader, so pretty much for the last several years, Wednesday nights have been out for me. So.
And another, I don't know who asked, but they were asking if any of us were jealous about that. I was like, I'm not jealous, but I'm eager to play with some of the people that were on the Saber Dice game. So it looks like they're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think they're having a blast with it. I think it would be cool to be able to get into a game. I can turn around and ask the same question. Were you guys jealous that I got to be in the premiere Starfinder game?
Yes, I was. Matter of fact, I was actually supposed to be in the game, but I was going to Origins, and I had to give the spot up to Ted. Actually, a lot of times, because I'm the one that's doing this full time, is I'm actually usually doing the wheeling and dealing, so that I actually have first say on the opportunities a lot of times.
So it's like, okay, well, if I want to do it, I'm going to do it. Hey guys, look at what I'm doing. So like that's usually what we hear.
Actually, I wasn't, because like I got to not sign anything, so I got to like talk about it and not have to worry about breaking any rules. So that was nice.
It's like that didn't mean as much anyway towards the end.
It is what it is.
But it was nice to be able to watch it and see all the different types of characters.
Oh, there's a really good question. Writer's block. GM91, how many ancient red dragons is too much against the level 1 party? Well, I feel like about 1 dragon per player is about right at first level, and more than that, you're getting a little ridiculous.
All right,
164th is enough, but 132nd is too much.
You can't even put a wormling against the level 1 party.
Christine, are you guys still running games with fans? Are we doing that still?
Yes.
Yeah, we do it once a month.
We said who.
Did we just announce it? Last week we just announced it.
Last week we announced it. It's my game. I don't remember the time or date. It's last week's Custom Adventures.
It's been deleted.
It's been deleted from my brain. Everything's just getting shuffled aside. But I will be contacting. I haven't contacted people yet. I will be contacting you this weekend if you're on that list, and we will be playing later.
So that is going to be September 24th, about 7:30. Players are Len Cole, Liam Cusham, Jim Valengoat, John Hetzel, Sam Parsons. The alternates are Harry Thibault, Joshua, without a last name, Lyle Stark, Sandstorm 657, and Lazarus Moonmark.
Wow.
So, yay for having that in within reach.
Thank you. So that.
Yay for not cleaning up after ourselves.
Hey, this set is immaculate. I don't know what you're talking about. They can't see that it's not.
So, out of row question. What are you guys' thoughts on a Shadow Dragonborn, either born from Shadowfell or otherwise?
I like it.
All about it. It's easy. Resistance necrotic, breath weapon necrotic. Now you could go either cone or line on that one.
I would think a cone.
I would think so too, but you go either way with that. I feel like because you got like raise and innervation and all kinds of things like that.
Black Beam of Doom.
I would almost want to give them a second resistance because necrotic isn't. Well, I feel like I wouldn't.
Good when you actually are getting hit with it.
Yeah,
because it can be pretty.
It's not going to come up very often. When it comes up, it's great.
But it's no fire. That's for sure. But the nice thing is you do necrotic damage with your breath weapon. So
I might look at the Azamar on that one and see what they do over there, and then kind of like because I feel like the DMG Azamar, they kind of gave them 2 resistances because fire for the Tiefling is a lot more prevalent. But definitely I would do it. It's the way to go. You just might need to look at it a little bit.
So maybe like Radiance necrotic. You thinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
It would be 2 of the lesser.
See, I would not feel right giving them Radiant. I don't think there's anything about them that makes me feel that it's there. Like, I'd much rather go somewhere else.
Go ahead, Dad.
Apparently, somebody has made Nate shut down.
Go ahead.
It's just it's dark. There's nothing that makes me say, oh, well, they're so this they can resist radiant damage.
Well, maybe they're infused with so much necrotic damage it overshadows the radiant. You could always do something too, like are you laughing at Aaron?
Yeah.
So you could do something too, like maybe give them dark vision if you felt like they needed something a little beefier.
I'd rather go that route. Make them be superior to all the other dragon kin. I guess in the dark you can't.
Oh man. Where's Black? How old are you? I have to ask.
He's a youngin.
It's a possibility. Historically, Tom Harris, shadow dragons were Ted dragons.
Were Ted dragons?
Yeah, but it was a typo. He meant red dragons. I like them better as
Oh,
Ten
like
Dragons.
flame and shadow kind of,
All right.
like Belrog kind of feel to it.
All right, artists out there, make a Ted Dragon.
I am not bullying you, Writers Block. I'm just asking. Ranger Roy has a GM 911.
All right.
Running Curse of Strahd. I think I'm going to hit jump. Never mind.
Take a break.
Yeah. I'm running Curse of Strahd. I think I'm going to have a TPK because only one character can attune with the game artifacts, and he's squishy. Any ideas? Maybe do some side quests, prolong the game out a little bit further. Maybe have some in-game things happen that allows the other players to attune to the artifacts.
You can tone down some of the encounters as well if you find that, there's 20 goals or whatever, like lowering that amount.
I have a question.
No, must play right as it's going.
Do you guys plan to play Tomb of Annihilation with fans? How would we convince you to do it? Well, we're always acceptable to money, but that would be really expensive because that's a lot of gaming in there. That would be very, very time consuming.
Maybe it's time to mention pay to play.
Oh yeah, that's I just finished filling out one of my games for the pay to play, and if you're interested in that, you can email me at nathannerdark@gmail.com. So the Holds in the Mordain, if people are familiar with it, is already complete, finished, filled. So now I'm filling the slots for the Claw of the Torqueen, which is kind of like a Dark Sun kind of feeling game, and then the Ageless Isle, which is going to be like madness and puzzles and stuff. So I'm still filling those in. I have a list that I'm emailing now. Yeah, I'm working off of. But if you'd like to be added to the list, email me in. We'll see how it can work out.
NathanNerdark@gmail.com.
Writer's Block. Nate is a sellout. We're all sellouts. We got families to feed, son. What else was there? We've got Pino Arias, GM1. How to involve my players into politics of the realm. A big part of the game involves rank, but having them just hear about the diplomatic choices is not as fun as having them engage. So what you need to do is then the diplomatic choices have to affect them. That has to involve them. It has to mean something to them. That's the only way that you're going to get get them to be involved and care, and other than just hearing about them, like you said. So there's going to have to be direct consequences to them or people they care about in order for them to want to get involved with that process. Like real politics, pretty much. Like no one cares about the stuff that doesn't affect them most of the time, or the people they care about. But when you start affecting, people you personally or the people around you that you care about, then things change a bit. So that's the way.
Okay, so two things from Zareth Gaming. He says they'll be fine. He ran Curse of Strahd, and you can do it without the artifacts. And he also has a question. DM and himself are discussing making a male drow liberation force in his character's backstory, but we're having a little trouble with what their society is like. Any advice? Is it a bunch of guys hanging out saying the matriarchy is oppressing us? Because then that's kind of like society-wise, that's just going to be almost like an outlaw group in a sense, because they're like rebels basically.
So the MLF, huh?
Yes.
I think they need to choose a new acronym. It doesn't work.
It's actually
MILFs.
Major League Acrobatics. Oh, force. You said force. I don't see it. I'm mishearing things. Sorry, Ted.
Sorry.
That's our gaming was decided the males are the females, drow in general. So that's just referring to that.
So I mean, running drow that want to, rebel. I mean, that's an interesting game. If you're going to have all of your players as male drow fighting up against the matriarchy, you could look at the Ari Salvatore stuff and look at Jarlaxle and all the stuff that he's done, and he's extricated himself from the hierarchy and is actually viewed as higher than many of the noble houses, matriarchs, because he holds so much power. And yeah, he's not in their structure, but he's there, and he's as wealthy as he wants to be. So
Yeah.
I would look to that stuff.
It's just going to be, it's just going to be basically your kind of like resistance rebel game is what it's going to kind of turn into,
Mm-hmm.
With just a different dynamic is all. And Zareth Gaming, the reason why we keep skipping your questions because you ask a lot of questions, a lot of good questions. We want to give other people a chance as well, and eventually we get back to them, right? Because that was a Zareth Gaming.
And if there's questions that you want answers to, and we're not getting to them in the live chats, you can always email them to us, and if they become a video topic, then we'll let you know.
Yeah. So also speaking to the running of Tube of Annihilation with players, sort of. I went on a quest to find that today, and I tried 3 different places, and I was unsuccessful.
One place was closed. One place didn't have it. And what was the third?
So one place doesn't really carry D&D stuff.
Oh, okay, that was the.
One place was closed, and the other place, I think they had like 1 copy, and they sold it. So so I was like, wah. But I have it on order from Amazon, so it will be showing up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
and I feel like anyone who had it and sold out or whatever aren't going to get any more copies than anytime soon. So
what's today? 9th, so I got 10 days before I think I get mine.
Pretty much. So I'm curious to see what kind of player options are in there, because apparently we're going to get at least the Grung. I keep hearing rumors of Sorials. So we'll see if that's in there. Maybe some backgrounds.
I will jump for joy should that happen.
Canon Sorials.
Yeah.
Great.
I was thinking I took that in a different direction.
Cannons?
Yes, I'm like, they're dinosaurs. What does cannon have to do with anything?
Well, the ones with the pointy horns, you stick them in a cannon and shoot them out.
Yeah, it's like way better than the Goblin Catapult.
So much better.
It's like the Trebuchet style.
I wonder.
So Wilder Smith will be our last one before we go, guys. DM911, how would you go about introducing an animal companion to a druid? Actually, that's an archetype that I actually want to make, because it was definitely a trope in D&D for a long time, and I feel like it needs to come back. Professor Bill, you're too funny. So yeah, I would basically kind of loosely model it off the Beast Companion Ranger, but I would look at things like, well, how is spellcasting or wild shape going to interact with a Beast Companion? And maybe there's different archetypes that revolve around that. Maybe there's one kind of centered around wild shaping and another one centered around spellcasting, or maybe it's one archetype but it has different options that you can choose or something.
And I think we did a video recently in the past month or so that talked about gaining animal companions through animal friendship and other things without it actually being a part of because it's built into the spells,
right,
and your general abilities. Yeah,
and then there's that as well. There's just a role play, depending on what kind of GM you have or what kind of GM you are. So there's always players that just want to collect the pets. So some GMs are like steadfast, no, we're not going to do that, and others are like, whatever, and it depends what they do with them after they get them. Like my son likes to collect them, but he never sends them into combat for fear something will happen to them. So does it really matter if they're there or they don't do it?
Yeah, there's just as buddies.
Yeah, pretty much.
And a role playing aspect.
So with that, I think we're going to wrap things up, and so until next time, guys,
Stay nerdy.